Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second to last LinkedIn Live this year. How crazy is that? I'm Claire Hayek, your host. I'm the founder and CEO of MSP Team Building and a leadership expert. And today we're talking about how to stay productive without burning out. It's a huge one. And I am very, very thrilled to be joined by Vivien Hudson, a renowned stress management specialist who helps organizations create thriving people-centered cultures. Actually, Vivien, as a speaker, a trainer, and fractional leadership consultant, she has guided countless leaders and teams to navigate the challenges of modern work environments. Through her expertise in well-being, leadership, and resilience, Vivien empowers businesses to foster a culture where productivity and health coexist seamlessly. And fun fact, Vivien also is a pharmacist, so I think she is really well versed in well-being, we must say. Hi, Vivien.
Hi, and thanks for having me today. So, yeah, a great time to talk about stress, burnout. It's the holidays approaching, and we know this should be the time where people are happy and healthy and all of the things. However, the statistics say 39% of people are actually unhappier during the holidays, with only 7% of people being happier.
Is that crazy or what, right? And I mean, I
Right.
love the whole festive look you have on today. I love the hat. It is the holidays, people, believe it or not. If you're not feeling it, I mean, I don't know what you're doing. You step out of the door and it's literally the holidays everywhere. Thanks, Vivien, for bringing that spirit into the talk today. And again, Vivien said it. I think it's very apropos, her hat today, because it is a very stressful time during the holidays, and of course it's I think the timing is perfect because I think this actual talk today will bring a lot of value to people that are feeling the pressure, the stress, the end of the year stress, the deadlines, the getting things done
Mhm.
professionally as well as personally. And it's basically, I mean, burnout is not only about year end, it's pretty much throughout the year, but why not talk about it now? We mostly need it. And we all know that, pretty much burnout has a huge impact on productivity.
Mm.
It's pretty much called the silent killer of productivity.
Oh,
So that it not only drains
yeah.
our energy, it also brings down our team morale, reduces engagement, and increases turnover. It's a big problem, and I think a lot of organizations obviously are proactive about it. But I think we can also proactive about dealing with it. I mean, I think we can also do a lot on our own and take ownership of our own health. And this is what we're doing today.
Yeah.
We're going to give you
Mhm.
tips and talk about the whole subject. Now, as a reminder, we are here today for 30 minutes. It's going to fly by. And I just want to take a second here and ask you, where are you joining us from today? Please do put it in the chat. We always love to know where you're from, where you're joining us, and we want you to answer our polls. I'm going to be sharing some questions and asking you questions. This really makes it more interesting, more interactive. And would like to mention that Connor is here with us from our team, I believe with Ophelia as well from our team. And they will be sharing maybe some links that we're going to be sharing with you that we'll be talking about, addressing even statistics and actual facts that we've done some research on for burnout. So, hey, Connor. Hey, Fee. Thanks for joining us. So here's one. Studies have shown that organizations with high burnout rates experience up to 50% decrease in productivity, along with skyrocketing absenteeism and healthcare costs. So obviously, this is a big no-no. We never want to go there, right? Another fun fact, actually, it's not that much fun, but it's a fact. 76% of employees experience burnout at least sometimes, and 28% report frequent or constant burnout. I mean, that's just mind blowing. That's from Gallup report in 2023. Um, Burnout is linked to 125 billion to 190 billion in annual healthcare costs in the US alone. That's from Harvard's Business Review. And I'm going to share one last one. Let me see. I have three more. And Connor, you can copy paste those in the chat, please, because we don't have a lot of time. I really want to share all these, but they will be in the comments. Um, Organizations with high burnout levels see a 63% increase in absenteeism and 50% drop in productivity. Source American Psychological Association. Okay, I'll stop here with the stats. Again, there's at least four or five actually. Connor, if you look through our pacing, please do share it in the comment. Each stat in a comment, please make them separate so people can actually relate, see them, and visually more appealing. So here we go, Vivien. All right, so we know that it's a high price to pay. Burnout is a
Hmm.
really high price to pay when it comes to product.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
can you please walk us through what burnout is? Let's start by defining it. Okay, what is burnout? Okay, and why it's so common in
Yeah.
today's workplaces. Actually, it's been
Yeah.
common for a while, but what's happening? What's going on?
Well, you might need to rein me in, but burnout, burnout is something. Fortunately, we're talking about it now, right? Years ago, we probably just kept it silent until we hit the wall. So when we think about burnout now, like, and this is important for leaders to notice, like one in themselves, but also to look out for it in their teams. But when people like it manifests emotionally, so people can come across as being a lot more cynical than normal. They can get to a point where they just don't feel like they care anymore. So you might have a high performer who used to always care, and suddenly it's like, oh, I don't really care. And you lose that emotional engagement. Often people feel tired. It doesn't matter how much sleep they get, there's just not enough. Like they wake up and they still feel like they've been hit by a truck.
Mm,
And they can disconnect from relationships. So they're not as social as perhaps what they once were. And I've noticed it even like with several people in my life through the course of a year. It's like sometimes people just don't reach out to you and you haven't spoken to them for a while and you think, oh, I've been so busy, I need to reach out to them. And when you do, you realize actually, yeah, oh my gosh, they've been going through something and that's why they haven't reached out. So I think burnout is something we need to be checking in with each other. How are you doing? How are you feeling? How's your energy? And energy is probably a good way to describe it.
but
So,
why is it so common?
yeah, and that's what I was just going to get to.
Yeah,
Is
the
I
workplaces,
think
right?
like we've been fueled by this workaholic culture. Like I'll put my hand up, overachiever, right? People pleaser,
Too,
right?
too.
So we
Although I'm
say
working on
yes,
that, I'm being
yes.
more unpleasant now. I'm working on being more unpleasant, more on saying no, and boundaries, right?
Right. So for our listeners, one of the things is like if you're used to saying yes to everything, a good tactic is when I say yes to this, what am I actually saying no to? Because
Mm,
sometimes we'll say yes to whether it's things in our personal life or whether it's things at work. And then we realize if I say yes to this, it means I'm going to have to stay back another hour or two tonight. It means I'm going to have to work on the weekends and maybe start to impinge on some of those boundaries. So people have been fed this culture, and I mean, I've bought into it as well. Like the harder you work, the more successful you are. And what I can see now is it's not true. People are waking up feeling a great sense of dissatisfaction
mhm.
because they're not getting the rewards that they felt from the work that they had at a time maybe in the past. So
Right.
I
Yeah.
think I think organizations are realizing this and also people are starting to wake up to, and I think we can thank COVID for that, starting to wake up to, oh, my health is important. Oh, getting a good night's sleep is important. But maybe that's something that we'll get into later in this
Yeah,
interview. But
yeah. I mean, burnout sneaks up. It sneaks up on even the best of us. The best
Mhm.
leaders out there. It's one of, and in a way, sometimes it's mistaken by with just like working hard.
Mhm.
But obviously the ripple effect, like you said, is very prominent and it's long term.
Yeah,
So it's changing those habits. But we're gonna get into the how and the what can we do and the strategies.
yeah.
Just before we jump into that, I'm just going to share a poll question here. Have you or your team experienced burnout in the past 6 months? Please do share it in the chat. with us, and we're really curious to know if where you're at on that scale for burnout. So
Mm,
please again share it in the chat, and I'm just going to move on to the next thing here. So obviously, we've always understood what a burnout impact is, but I think you clarifying it further, it's sometimes even sneaks up on us and simpler than we think. It's like, oh my God, that's what I do every day. So that's kind of burnout, possible burnout symptom.
mm,
So thank you for just, making it more real in a way. It's,
mm,
it's closer than we think, basically.
mhm.
But let's try to explore like some practical ways where we can stay productive while protecting our energy, right?
Mm.
Anything you can share with us, Vivian, on what strategies leaders can use, and their teams as well. What can we do? What strategies we can implement basically in our day to day?
Yeah, great question. And there's a lot of things that we can do. One of them, first and foremost, is to be a great manager, right? Be a great leader, to be empathetic or compassionate with the people on your team. And I feel like that this is often a challenging conversation for many leaders to have is, well, how do I have those touchy feely, what might seem like touchy feely conversations, but just tapping in and checking into people and say, like, when your team is pressured, when you're under duress, you feel it yourself, right? And you can see in the actions of people on your team. And often people want to feel heard, they want to feel validated. So just being able to ask them, say, hey, Claire, I noticed you've been really working hard lately. What are you doing to manage your energy levels? And we can have a conversation about that. So, how's your sleep? So, to the question that you asked me earlier, like why is burnout so prevalent? Well, people aren't getting as much sleep. So, a third of the
Mhm.
population, something ridiculous, is getting 6 hours or less of sleep a night, and it's not enough. So it
Yeah.
might be as simple as adding another hour or two, which I say simple but not simple, because we have these devices that we scroll on before we go to bed.
I know.
But even talking about things like that with people on your team, because we get into habits, right? We get into habits that keep us staying up late, or we get into habits of eating our lunch at our desk. So that's another thing that leaders can do, is to role model and show, well, it's okay to have a lunch break. And I always use this analogy. I use this a lot, Claire,
Hmm.
and um, I've got my water bottle here, right? And let's pretend it's full. And you could say, well, how long can you hold on to that? Well, if it's full, it's going to get heavy. I might be able to hold up my arm like this for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. I don't know. It depends on how strong I am, how much I'm practiced, right? But eventually, if I can't put it down, I'm going to drop it, right? My arm will get tired, my hand will cramp up. So taking a lunch break is like putting your weight down for a
Hmm.
short period of time. And when you put it down, you can pick it up again. So if I put this down and pick it up again, I could do that all day long. So that's the importance of taking short breaks throughout your day, because it allows you to put it down so that you can carry that burden for that little bit further, that little bit longer. So I think taking breaks during your day is an important thing that people can do. And for leaders to role model that by not having lunch at their desk.
Right.
It's
Right.
good to see organizations doing more in terms of movement, like walking meetings, for example. Let's,
Right.
instead of sitting at our desk and doing a Zoom, let's go for a walk and talk on the phone,
Yeah.
and being more active. So that active movement through the day. And I think that this is also contributing to burnout, is people are so sedentary. So we're not getting that re-energizing that happens from, let's get up and do a few squats, right? um,
You'd be surprised how
mid
effective
mid
that is. I do
meeting,
that a
yeah,
lot.
exactly.
I have to go down the stairs at home in order to get to, to the kitchens. And I just have to literally just refill my water bottle.
Mhm.
And sometimes like, I'll grab a tea. So if I'm waiting for the boiler to, to be ready, that's a good 2 minutes, and I'm like counting the minutes because I'm like, I gotta go. I'm busy. So that's 2 minutes So what I do now, I'll do squats. So while the water is boiling, I'm doing squats. Why not? Or I'll stretch, or
Yeah.
stretch my legs, and I'm like, oh my god, that was like plenty of time. 2 minutes
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
nothing while you're waiting for something to heat up. That's a great way to just instead of just staring at the wall and thinking of the next stressful thing you have to do.
Yeah. Do something good for your body,
Exactly. Yeah.
100%. And I think officers can embrace more and role model some of this culture, like, well, let's do walking lunges to the lunchroom or something that people feel comfortable with, so people can see each other actively moving. Because I think because we've become so sedentary, because people are working long hours,
Yeah.
they don't have time to go to the gym or get to the gym as often as they want to. Or like now we're heading into winter, when you get home it's already dark, you can't go for a walk. So the more little things that you can do, and I run this little Facebook group, and one of the things in there, like, what's your goal for today? And my goal for today was to do 3 micro workouts, or I called them bite-sized workouts, because I knew I wasn't going to have time for a full workout.
There you
So
go.
just
Okay.
taking 5 or 10 minutes, go on my treadmill, go on my stepper, go for a walk outside. Now it's stopped raining. I always have a few weights here
Well, there we go.
next to my desk. So there's lots of little things that we can do, because when we use our body mentally, we feel better as well. So I feel like physical fitness goes hand in hand with mental fitness too.
100% agree with you on
Mm,
that.
mm,
That's great. And I think I've mentioned boundaries. Just saying
mm,
no, and but boundaries also with work hours. Just like stop working after a while. And again, I'm the one to. I'm so guilty of this. It's just that sometimes I don't get to do my work before 3, 4 meetings, and I only have 3 hours now to just advance
mm,
the things I really needed to do. So what I would do is I would stop around 5, 6, have dinner, take a 2 hour break, and then work, let's say from 8 to 9, just to make sure that I have that extra hours where nobody is reaching out, no emails are coming in.
mhm.
So, but at the same time, I'm questioning that and saying, okay, maybe I need to get up much earlier and start my day early when nobody's harassing me or my meetings don't start before 10 o'clock. And instead of getting that from 8 to 9, then I get it done, from, I don't know,
Earlier.
eight to
Yeah.
10, so
So
yeah,
so I want to say, like, you're the boss of you, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Right. And then you said I needed to. So it's really like this internal voice, and we create, I think this is also where burnout comes from often, is we create so many expectations and we view them as external expectations, right?
Right.
Like, I need to, but really it's the voice inside. So
Yeah.
we create these expectations for ourselves. And like, if you were talking to your friend, what would you say to your friend? So we're often so hard on ourselves. We create these unspoken expectations around how we work and how much we have to put
Right.
in to that day. And that fuels our burnout as well, because often if I can go just a layer deeper, often it fuels into the limiting beliefs that we have around ourselves. So I'm just going to say right here and right now, my limiting belief is I'm not good enough. And when I did the internal reflection, this is why I'm an overachiever. This is why I'm a people pleaser. This is why when I create a to-do list, I make sure I put more things on there than I can humanly do in a day, so I can prove to myself I'm not good enough because I never got to the bottom of my to-do list. So we have
That
these
is so
little
interesting.
subliminal programs that are running us that help to reinforce these stories of limiting beliefs. So that's all the layers I love peeling back to help people go, oh.
Yeah, I think that's so useful what you just shared. This is a great gold nugget. So the way I see it is, people, you want to write this down. People listening right now is maybe to be self aware. What Vivien just said, to be self aware of the why. Why am I doing that? And just dig deeper and just keep asking the why until really get the bottom of it. Or really just self sabotaging, or maybe because I don't
Mhm.
I'm good enough, or why do I procrastinate and get things done last minute? Maybe because I'm scared and I don't want to really do
Perfectionism.
this task, and because I'm afraid that I'm not good at doing it, so I just wait till the last minute because I would have to do it now. So there's a lot of self-sabotage, a lot of limiting beliefs, and I think being aware, being myself a neuroscience coach, I am more, that really helped me coach myself better, in being more self-aware of my thoughts, because those thoughts are just everything. So will make or break a day, right? So, but if you see them and you understand what's going through your head, that's how you can
Mm,
either get rid of them or just embrace them, or understand why they're there, and then dealing with it in a way they just go away on their own at that point.
mhm.
Once you understand, it's like, oh, this is why I get to
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
tell these things to myself, because of this, that, and then this is how we can unwire and unfire these neurons, and synaptic connections, and get down to the transformation. It's like, no, I'm not going to fall into that anymore. You know.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
this is very, very interesting. I put a little question, another question here for everyone. Do you currently schedule intentional breaks during your workday? Yes or no? Again, we want to hear from you. Do put it in the chat. We'll be addressing the chat, back and forth. So do put your comments. If you have any questions, by the way, please do put them as well. We'll tackle these on in a sec. It's 11. It's already, have about 8 minutes left. So let's get right into the next part of our talk here. Basically moving from strategy to action, simply put. So maybe, Vivian, you can share with us, if possible, some tools or habits
Mm.
that we can adopt
Yeah,
to stay productive,
yeah.
while avoiding burnout. And maybe share three things, doable things that you would advise.
Yeah, so I think like sometimes we think the harder we work, then we'll get over the hump and we can take a break. But often that becomes like a self-defeating way to tackle things. So if we look at the way we work, like how quickly do you go from being mid writing something, whether it's a report, whether it's a blog post, whether it's an email or whatever, and you see a message, right? And you get distracted. So you go and answer that message or answer that phone call. So the average worker loses 1 to 2 hours per day from distraction. So imagine if you could limit the distractions, how much more productive you would be. And I think it's also about how you feel at the end of the day, right? If
Right,
you've gone
right.
from A to B to C to D throughout the day on repeat in no particular order, you feel a lot less accomplished. So, what I found, and like I used to have these times where I was getting constantly distracted and got into the habit of distracting myself.
Mm.
And this includes how many tabs do you have open on your computer at one time? And let's talk about that
You don't
one.
want to know how many I have open. I have like 30, 35 on, I have two screens. So
Right. Yeah.
35 on one and like 28 on the
Yeah.
other one.
So,
Yeah, okay.
so
Okay,
all
I took a note of this one, Vivian. Okay,
okay. So
go
so
ahead. Go ahead.
closing down the tabs that you're not using right now. And like I just started to clear my slate a lot more,
Right,
and using like a timer like Pomodoro
right.
technique is something I've recommended to my clients for a long time. And I don't need to use a timer anymore because once you use it a few times, you can create a discipline on your own. But essentially, what it is like, let's say I'm writing a blog post, whatever it might be for people. And I might think, well, I've got a writer's block. I don't know what I'm going to write. So normally I might have gone, well, I'll go check my email. Oh, I'll just, get on LinkedIn. I'll watch a LinkedIn live.
Right.
And instead, what I did
Hours,
was
right?
even yeah, exactly. Even if it meant that I wasn't going to write a word, the thing that I would do for 20 minutes is just write this blog post. So usually after a few minutes, you get past the lump that that allows you to start flowing. And then the 20 minutes flies past. Now, if a
Right.
message or something comes in, like unless somebody is like bleeding and needs 911, right? Anything can wait 20 minutes, whether it's a message, whether it's an email, whether
Yeah.
it's a phone call. So that like 10x my productivity right away once I started to do that. Plus, I felt more accomplished at
Hmm.
the end of the day, which allowed me to get more done, right? It and it was something that I've taught countless people, and they go, "Oh my god, that felt so much better." So it's a great thing for productivity and just for
Right.
helping us to feel better. Another thing that people can do is to remind themselves to take these breaks. So take
Mhm.
some little breaks throughout the day, because sometimes we get stuck on a problem. So you keep trying to solve it.
Yes. Yes.
And you know, as a neuro leadership expert, that you can step away, go for a 10-minute walk, and the answer will
Yes.
come to you, because that's the way the brain works. Like as soon as you take that pressure off, it allows the answer to naturally surface. And then I just say like typical self care strategies. So burnout's going to come from either being super stressed at work and just taking on too much, or it's going to come from a lack of self care. So, Ariana Huffington, she collapsed and she went into this whole sleep movement. I mean, she loves her work. She used to work 16 hours a day and then collapsed one day. So, for her, it was lack of sleep. So, just make sure that you are mindful around what you're putting into your body, how much you're hydrating. Are you getting some movement in during the day? I used to think I was great, I was golden, I had my 10,000 steps done by 9 o'clock in the morning, but then I'd sit at my desk all day. So it was
Right.
just a self defeating thing. So you're
Yes.
much better off to take those bite size or snack size movement breaks during the day. And once you move that blood around, it gets back up into your brain and it allows you to do better work, and it helps you to focus better. So
Yeah.
there's a few little tips there.
These are great tips. Thank you so much. I love the time blocking. I apply it more and more now. It's like you should see I have color coded calendar blocks. Do I follow all of them? I don't. I'll be lying if I said I didn't. But I try. At least I try, and the more I try, the better it's getting. So
Yeah.
it's a work in progress for me on that, because I'm a natural multitasker. I thrive on just like doing things like jumping from here to there. But when I do stop and time block, I just see huge difference, especially when it's something
Mm.
that needs full attention. Um,
Mhm.
it's basically just such a big difference. It's winner. So I cannot recommend it enough. Thank you for reminding me that, Vivien. Especially like focusing on deep work, right?
Mhm.
That
Yep.
mental clutter and the multitasking, like I'll call it the deep work. Like I'm deep working right now. Do not bother me. So
That's right.
yeah.
And you do have to communicate to people. Like
Yes.
I work from home. My office is right next to the kitchen, and it's like if my door's closed, it's closed for a reason.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
The smell coming from the kitchen as the coffee or the this or the, ooh, the brain just like lingers on, So,
Mhm.
so here I shared one last poll question. What's your go-to tool for staying organized and productive? Please do share it in the chat. And I'm just gonna jump right to the chat right now, see what other comments we had. Connor, thank you so much for sharing all these comments. Sorry, not comments, stats. So again, if you're listening to this on our podcast or whichever channel you're tuned into, please do look at the comments. Connor shared really interesting stats on burnout and productivity. So it's all there for you to refer to. I got Connor and Ophelia answer some of our questions on burnout. Ophelia mentioned love the weight by the desk, because Vivien mentioned this earlier. In case you just tuning into this, she has some weights right next to us. I'm going to do that too. I'm going to copy you, and just very, very great idea. I love it. Also, how do we get organized and all that? Connor did mention, to have to-do lists and optimal folder origination. I think
Maybe organization.
organization. I think that what,
Hmm.
yeah, it's probably typing
Yeah,
away and managing
yeah,
the chat and doing a gazillion thing right now, the multitasking
yeah.
as we are
And
live. And Ophelia says, good old to-do list, and prepare and prioritize tasks. Absolutely.
yeah, if if I could just speak to Connor's point about organisation. So
Yeah,
this was a random statistic I heard ages ago. Every 1 minute of organisation saves you 10. So taking that extra minute to file something in a proper place, to take your downloads and put them in the appropriate folder, whatever it might be. Like if you stay organized, it's so much easier as well, because it
absolutely.
becomes mental clutter, like
Yes.
mental clutter as well. Hmm.
Absolutely. Also, just cleaning the desk. We talked about this last week, about how we work and the environment, the physical environment. So I think this is a great continuation of this conversation. How we can just make it better. Everything, whether it's physical, whether it's our mental well-being, or just how do we be more productive. There's so many different layers. So
Hmm.
just sharing here. If you want to have a bit more information about this conference with Vivien, please do type the word energize and we'll send you the information. Again, if you are registered here on LinkedIn, or basically you're going to get a one-pager summary of this talk. And if you're not on LinkedIn and you are not watching live and you're not registered, you can still request the one-pager. Please do reach out to me. And if you're not on LinkedIn, well, maybe you should be. Follow us, follow me, follow us, follow Vivien, Claire Hayek here, and MSP Team Building. Why not? So finally, I just wanted to share with you that, give me a second here. I lost my QR code. Give me a sec. There it is. I want to share with you that we do have a masterclass that is coming up in January. A lot of you joined us last week on our webinar. We talked about neuro leadership and AI productivity. We are talking about productivity, so it's, might as well mention it. Please do scan the QR code, and the link will also be shared in the comments. It's great value. This is literally, if you're looking to transform your 2025, to change your patterns, be healthier, more productive, supercharge your creativity, and just become the best version of yourself that you can be. This is a great way to start the year with this masterclass. So please do scan the code. Otherwise, next week will be the last LinkedIn of 2024, of course. And it's going to be about the future of leadership, which is literally creative. This is where the focus is going. And I'm going to help you get there. I'm going to tell you how you're going to get there. So that's next Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. So please do join me and register. RSVP QR code here on LinkedIn and on screen. Vivien, I'm just going to just jump to the chat quickly here. We don't have we don't have any questions, but I have a lot of questions for you. Unfortunately, it's 2:03, and this, what I always say is this talk is definitely more than 30 minutes. So again, if you are interested in knowing more about this talk, please write energized in the chat, because I really feel that it's relevant to bring it to the workplace and have that open conversation and see and find ways that we can bring this, this subject, more forward, and be proactive about burnout and how we can be more productive on that end. So having said that, Vivien, thank you so much for joining me. Always a pleasure to see you and talk to you, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot of you in 2025. I don't know why, but maybe we have a series coming up and you're in it. I'm just saying. I'm not. I love teasing. Yeah. So stay tuned. We have some series coming up in January with three exceptional women, experts on different subjects that just somehow just speaks to each other. I'll tell you a bit more about it next week, so you better tune in. And
That'll be fun.
Vivian, thanks again. I love the hat.
Thank you.
I gotta get me one like that. Any last words you wanna add?
I just want to say thanks so much for having me. Everybody have a safe and happy holidays. So I always say happiness is a choice, right? So if you find yourself in the chaos of the Christmas crazy, just take a moment for yourself, and think about how you can flip that around from feeling stressed to finding that success. So if you need a guide by your side to do that, then connect with me. And yeah, I've got a bunch of resources.
Oh, yes, you do. Yes, you do. Thanks again. Happy holidays to you as well. And have, enjoy the rest of the day, guys. And we'll see you next Wednesday at 11.